Today's music lesson is all about rhythm. Roll the intro.
Symbols of notation.
So I'm going to show this around to you. Silent recorder. Do you know what rhythms are? Well, rhythms are the long and short notes and rests that fit inside the beat. Can you say that with me? The rhythms are the long and short notes and rests that fit inside the beat. Great job, guys. Okay, now you got to know the difference between notes and rests. So notes make sounds. Rests, no sound. They look different too. Notes have these things called note heads. They're these little circles at the bottom of stems sometimes. Rests, no circles, no note heads, no sound. Well, today we are going to talk through 13 rhythms, starting with very simple rhythms and going all the way to really complicated rhythms. Now, for those of you who are younger, you might want to stick with the simple rhythms. Learn those, get those under your feet first before moving on to the more difficult ones. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go through all 13. Let's start with the easiest rhythm of all, the quarter note. Now, a quarter note fills up one beat, and it says ta. Quarter rests. Remember, there's no note head. It makes no sound, but it still fills up a beat, and it goes like this. Our next rhythm is 2/8 notes. Now, 2/8 notes are shorter notes, and therefore you can fit two of them inside of one beat. So they say ti-ti. But if you were to break them apart, you would have just 1/8 note, and it wouldn't fill up the whole beat. It would only fill up half of the beat. And instead of saying ti-ti, it would just say ti. Our next rhythm is a half note. And by the way, a half note gets 2 beats, which is half of 4. You see, all of our rhythms are based on 4-beat measures. And so if you have a half note, that's 2 of 4, half. 2 beats. A half note says ta. Our next rhythm is a half rest. And a half rest looks an awful lot like a hat. Almost like a top hat, I think. And it doesn't make any sound either, just like a quarter rest, but the half rest gets 2 beats. And the motion for it is this. Our next rhythm is a whole note. And you guessed it, it gets the whole 4 beats, like this. Ta. Followed by a whole rest, no sound, like this. Now we're going to get into more complicated rhythms. Our next one is 4 16th notes. Now each individual 16th note is very, very short. So you can fit 4 of them inside of one beat. And they say ticka ticka. Next, we have a dotted half note. Now, a dotted half note is just like a normal half note with a dot. And what's a dot do? Well, a dot adds half the value of that beat, or of that note. So for example, if you have a half note with 2 beats, the dot adds an additional 1 beat, because half of 2 is 1, and 2 plus 1 equals 3. So a dotted half note gets 3 beats like this. Ta. Our next rhythm is triplet notes. Now, triplet notes fit 3 inside of one beat. And I like to use this, triplet. There's lots of different ways to say triplet notes, but that's how I like to do it. So if you had 4 triplet notes covering 4 beats, it would be triplet, 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 triplet. Our final 2 rhythms take half of a beat and use one type of rhythm and another type of rhythm in the other half of the beat. Let's start with a 1/8, 2 16th note pair. In this, our first half of the beat is just 1/8 note, and our second half of the beat is 2 16th notes. It would sound ti ticka, ti ticka. Now, if you switch those around, and you put the 2 16th notes in the first half and the 8th note in the second half, you would get tick-a-tee. All right, guys, those are our first 13 rhythms. I hope it makes sense to you, and we are going to learn how to clap them with music in what I call rhythm cards in our next video.